Okay, short video, which will have probably quite a few pauses. This is going to be one of them. Oh, hang on. Well, that was Marley barking at a shadow. Anyway, this is starting to melt now. All this is caster sugar in a saucepan. Nothing else, just caster sugar. And you keep sort of like... I had to take it off the heat when Marley was barking, but as you'll see any second now, this will start to melt again. And you've got to watch it, make sure it doesn't actually burn, because if it does, it's really a bit yucky. What we could do, actually, make it a bit nicer. And remember, at the moment, this is just a saucepan with sugar. We've got some golden syrup, so splosh a little bit of that in. Not much, don't need much. And turn the heat down a little bit, and then give it a good stir. And you'll notice how quickly this actually then starts to... this is really dangerous actually. I've got one hand. How do I end up doing lots of dangerous things? This is red hot, well, not red hot, but melting sugar, which is awful. I mean, if this, I mean, this is you don't want to get this on you. But anyway, I'm going to let that melt, and then I'm going to stir it for a few minutes, and then I'll come back, and then I'll tell you the story of this. Right, there we go, melting the sugar, and there's a little bit of golden syrup just for flavour. So I'm gonna pause this now, okay? Right. So I might have gone a little bit too far with this, I'm not sure. Difficult to tell. Anyway, many years ago, as some of you will know, I've always been involved with working in the drugs field, and I was asked to look at ways of identifying people not in contact with services and bringing them into contact with services. This is actually turned off, so that's just still bubbling. And this was at the time when HIV was a big issue, and they identified that drug users in particular were at high risk of transmitting or acquiring and transmitting HIV. So I was asked to look at ways of getting people into contact with services. Now, which isn't always as easy as it sounds. And what I actually did was I set up I took over a council flat with the council's knowledge, unofficially, and we invited some of the local, or one of the local major drug dealers to come in and peddle his wares in that council flat with a couple of old manky sofas and whatever. And the police kind of knew about this, and they said, well, look, you know, we already know who the players are, and better to keep an eye on them, etc. And so they tolerated it, and what we found was the quality of stuff that he was selling increased, but also people would come in and we would be able to offer them things like health screening, unofficially, needles and syringe exchanges, and help people get their lives sorted. Now, one of the things we noticed was during the daytime we had a lot of working women come in, commercial sex workers, and they would very often bring their small children with them, which a lot of people would throw their hands in the air and whatever, in absolute dismay and horror. So one of the things that I started to try and do was, one day I did a stone soup. If you don't know what stone soup is, I'll give you a quick rundown, which is that you get a stone. I got a magic stone, I put it in a pan full of water, and I boiled it for a little while, and then tasted it, and it was okay, it was alright, and the kids thought he's mad. But I thought, you know what, this needs a potato. So I put a potato in there, and I thought, that's good. Tell you what though, a little bit of savoury, so maybe an onion. So I chucked a little bit of onion in, and tasted it, and I said, yep, that stone really is good. That stone, excellent. Maybe a carrot or two. And I chucked a few carrots in and some beans, you know, just to add to the flavour of the stone. And after a while, I let it cool down, and everyone tasted it, and it was amazing. And everybody thought, what a magical stone this was, this stone soup. Magical stone. The next week, I decided I was going to make some honeycomb, so I did exactly what I've done here. And there was a couple of women came in, a couple of commercial sex workers came in with their kids. One of these kids was about 4, another one was about 3, there was one at about 5, it was about to start school. And was in the kitchen. I said, stand back. So what I actually did was I did exactly this, what I've done here. And I got that beautiful melted sugar. Oops, if I can get my stuck in here. Here we go. Actually, I'm just going to put that there for a moment. Sorry, I'm doing this all one-handed because I've got one hand on the... And then I got some magic powder. I shouldn't say that. And I popped that in. And then I gave it a stir like this. And it did this. And the kids were looking at it. And the kids stared at it. And as they were staring at it, it did this absolutely magical thing. Let's put that back over there. And this little 4-year-old looked at it and just said, fuck! And there you go. We got this magical thing. Way! Oh, you don't want to get this on you. I don't like it up 'em, Mr. Mannering. And this magical thing started pouring out. Look at that. Wow. Look at this. I put a bit too much sugar in there, actually. God, I'm going to be chipping that out forever. Anyway, the kids... You splosh that around in there, look. And then just give it a... There we are. And the kids just thought, this is... Why is this? Why is this witchery, craftery? I've put a lot in there. I don't think I'll ever get my own cooking programme. Right, put the rest of this in here. So what we've done, the magic white powder, was, and some people will know my thing about baking powder, because that's what I use for the electrolyte and the Lectenbergs. And it makes all the melted sugar fluff up, and that is what we get. So I'm gonna pause this again and let that cool down, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, saucepan, caster sugar, and a little bit of golden syrup. Not measured, just slung in. Apply heat. Let's see what happens. You've got to do this slowly. And more importantly, you've got to keep an eye on it. Because when this goes really quickly. There you go, you see that going there? And within a couple of seconds, this will all just mulch down into an exceptionally yummy looking toffee. However, it is boiling sugar. And extreme caution should be taken. Like, you shouldn't hold a camera and stir it as well. So what I'm going to do is stop recording and carry on stirring until it's a nice, beautiful, liquidy toffee. Okay. So what I didn't explain was this is the next one that I'm doing. So we've got, that's the one that I just did. Okay. Lack of continuity. So this is the that's not too bad. That needs a couple more, just a tiny little more on the heat. It's induction hob, so tiny, just to give it a... Now you can use a sugar thermometer, obviously, or you can just not bother. That's okay. Now with this one, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons is full of cacao powder. Oh God, that smells amazing. Give it a stir and try and work that in. Oh God. So this gives you a really bitter chocolatey. However, because you'll mix it in with the sugar, right, that's good. This I'm going to move on top of the laptop. We've got another one ready. Right, let's have a look. That's good. That's really, really good. Bring that over here. And again, baking powder. But it's not. It's bicarbonate of soda, I should say. Bicarbonate of soda in there. And very, very quickly stir it in. And there. And that's that F moment. Wow. Wow. And then I'm going to pour it into there, but I'm going to do that with 2 hands. Wow, the smell of chocolate for that is outstanding. Okay, so all I didn't want to waste any. So it's bicarbonate soda into melted sugar. And we'll let this do its thing. Look at that. Oh, if only you could smell this. I've had to be really disciplined in terms of chocolate, so I won't be eating any of this because I have to be exceptionally disciplined with chocolate. So there's that, and then there's this one. Now when these are cooled down, I'll come back and I'll show you step 2. Right. Oh, that is just stunning. Ha ha ha. Okay, so I'm not going to touch these because I'm going to give them someone. I'm going to touch a little bit though. Yeah, I'm going to have that. I'm going to have that little bit there. Look at this. Now. Right, this is a big bit that I've broken up. Oh, just smash it up. And it's honeycomb, just like Crunchy Bar. Actually, this one isn't. This one, because I let the sugar cook and burn ever so slightly. This has got that. It's called like campfire toffee. It's still honeycomb, but it's got that really kind of like bitter, slightly smoky, slightly burnt aftertaste. So it's still really sweet, but it's like campfire toffee. This is the one I did the chocolate to, or sorry, not the chocolate, the cacao. God, that's good. Oh dear. And the same again. When this is dry. When this is cool. Well, it's not uncool now. Again, I'm not going to touch it because other people are going to. I'm going to give it to other people. Oh dear, look at that little bit there. It's such a shame to leave that poor little bit there. Look at this. I don't know if you can. Again, it's beautiful, just like honeycomb. And now I'm going to break my embargo on chocolate and just taste it. Oh, it's just tidying up. Right, that is that's rubbish. Nobody'd like that. Can't give that to anyone. So that's the chocolate one. And again, what you could do is smash that into bits and coat it in chocolate if you wanted, but you don't need to because it's got the cacao in it. And then that's the campfire, the bitter. This has got a really bitter aftertaste. I made quite a lot of that because that's what I used to do in in the project. Now anyway, just to finish off this story, that little unofficial, well, it was unofficial, it was an NHS project, but it was the sort of thing that was hushed up, because if the media or the Daily Mail or anyone got hold of that, it strung me up from a lamppost. But a lot of the people who came to that project ended up sorting their lives out. A lot of the working women ended up improving their diet, got their kids into childcare, improved their lives, gave up drugs, gave up sex work. One of them now runs an exceptionally well-known eatery in Brighton. Somebody else who came to that project went off and, not to put too fine a point on it, as a thank you, people who know my slight OCD thing towards numbers will know that 9 and 3, or base 3, but 9, 3 and 6 are very special numbers. For episode 936 of the TV series The Bill, a character was written into that to thank me. The character in the programme was called Martin Bailey. He was a drugs worker, and it was played by Craig Charles. I was really into Red Dwarf at the time, so a more sincere thank you I don't think anyone could ever have, and I'm still very, very grateful. And the whole reason for all of this and doing this is kind of like to say, it's easy to write people off. It's dead easy to write people off, and sometimes you won't get immediate results. Sometimes you just gotta stay here and kind of like, you know, keep in the game, as it were, and those results will come later. And so all those years on, that was 1995, October 1995, episode 936 of The Bill. By that time I was back in Sheffield, and you never know, so it's worth paying that little investment, taking a chance, sticking your neck out, and fuck knows I've stuck my neck out, and continue to do so. But there you go. I might take all this down to a shop in town tomorrow, and they can give it away. That's if it lasts. Okay, that's that anyway.